Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Moran Show. We are here after the AFC and NFC Championship game. I'm here with John. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. This was an amazing night of football. A little bit disappointed some of our boys are not here with us. I'm also disappointed, Joel, because I did predict these two teams to make it to the Super Bowl this year, but I wanted nothing more than a Lions Super Bowl. And I am really heartbroken for that city.
Yeah, it's hilarious because of course, the Niners won, which didn't surprise me. How they won surprised me in their comeback. That surprised me. But I went on the Pick a Side pod account because I am the one that usually tweets from there. And I tweeted no live tonight, episode tomorrow. People are saying first it was Riv, now entire gang ducking. Duck squad. Log out the account, Joel. Joel is ducking. When have I ever ducked, John? I'm just curious. Have I ever ducked in my life?
I mean, you're pulling for the Chiefs. I don't know why you would duck today. If anything, it'd be last week or the week before.
I have no idea, John. Now listen, nobody's ducking. In the group chat, in the Pick a Side chat, me, Drew, Dels, and Riv, we were all talking about if we wanted to record after tonight. I was gonna record regardless whether it was Pick a Side or the Joel Moran show, and they said that they'd rather talk about this tomorrow because tomorrow on Monday we're going to do a podcast, so they'd rather save this for the podcast we do tomorrow. So, okay, listen, I see the chat right now. A lot of Brock Purdy enthusiasts. A lot of people talking about how he's so great coming back, but I mean, can we forget about how awful he played in the first half that got them to that point to begin with? I mean, come on, really. If I'm grading Brock Purdy's first two playoff games this season, the Packers one was a C. The second half, not even like the last drive of the game, he did something good. But the entire game, he was awful.
You
And
made a
now in
DSC.
this game, first half was terrible. In the second half, what saved him? An intercepted ball that should have been intercepted, but Brandon Ayuk saves him, and it's spectacular. Now, Brock Purdy made some nice plays with his legs. I can't discount that. 50 yards on the ground. I was not expecting that. Over 300 yards in this game alone. But it's funny, man, because when the Niners are down, and it's clearly because he's not playing well, it's all these other factors. Defense is awful. Offensive line is awful. All these other things. When he starts to pick it up, it's, oh my God, do you see how great Purdy's doing? Do you see how spectacular he is? 49ers won this game. Didn't surprise me in the slightest, John. I mean, they won 34-31. It's not like I had the Lions winning this game. I had the Niners beating the Lions. But how it happened was very surprising. And how Dan Campbell managed the second half was abysmal. I mean, you're up 24-7. You have a chance to go up 27-7, and you go for it. You don't get it. Before the last drive of the game, you go for it again. You don't get it when you could kick a field goal. That's a 6-point swing right there. I mean, Dan Campbell's game management in this one, when he was up, I feel like he was playing like he was down too often.
You can make that point. On the 4th and 2, it was actually 24-10. I understood going for it there in that play. The second one was tough because Steve Wilkes dialed up a pretty good disguise of man coverage pre-snap, and that threw off Jared Goff, and there's nowhere for him to go. So Dan Campbell got here the entire season with this style of play, but they're playing to get the kill shot, and ultimately didn't hit their way. I felt the reason the Lions lost this game was because in the second half, they got hammered. But before we could even get there, I think we're fast forwarding a bit. The Lions went up 24-7 because in the first half, it wasn't Brock Purdy to me. It was the fact an elite run defense gave up 3 rushing touchdowns, 8 yards a carry, and 180 rushing yards. But I said to myself, I was watching the game with my mom, and she's starting to get into football, and I said, all the Detroit Lions have to do is not get outscored by 17 points, and they're going to the Super Bowl in an hour and a half. But I said to myself, I don't think that's going to happen. I am somebody who is a strong subscriber of it ain't over until it's over. And watching Kyle Shanahan teams through the years, I've known one thing, they're very unlucky. And I felt at some point the law of averages would bounce their way because it simply has not in many different years. Dating back to Atlanta in 2016 to the 2019 Super Bowl where Jimmy Garoppolo sold him of a Super Bowl. So yeah, I found it humorous. I said, you know what? There's nothing I can do when Brock Purdy delivers a 50-yard pass into the visor of Kendall, whatever his last name was, and then a diving Brandon Ayuk catch at the 4-yard line. That was a divine play, but a large part of football is luck. And Brock Purdy in the second half played pretty darn well when he was pressured 10 straight times, didn't get sacked once. And there's something to the poise and moxie he has to extend plays. This year, the question has been, is he Jimmy Garoppolo plus, or is he a true franchise quarterback? And tonight, he didn't look like a true franchise quarterback, but when it mattered, he showed the poise and playmaking gene that Jimmy Garoppolo never did. And that's probably going to be enough for them to make scrappy, kind of crazy wins in exotic ways to come from behind. They can never do that with Garoppolo. So I think there's something to be said. He did enough to win. He had a B minus performance, but what matters is how he looked when he was under pressure, consistently making huge plays, a third down run to seal it when they're up by 3 points. There is a gene he has, and I believe it's enough to win a Super Bowl.
Now, Mr. Andrew Velez has arrived while you were giving your beautiful monologue. Mr. Drew, how you doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. Had to put a beanie on because my hair looks like garbage. But I saw you were going live. I said, "Hey, let me do my brother due diligence. Let me pull up and let me talk my talk." But I don't know if you guys spoke about the Chiefs or the Ravens. I'll say this
Not
first,
yet.
Mr. Moran. Congratulations. Number 2, Lions and Niners. I found myself more and more as I watched this game rooting for the Detroit Lions to win, and it's crazy how you live by a certain philosophy all season long. When we're on fourth down situations, we're going to go for it. We're going to try our best to maximize those opportunities. You see in the second half, they had multiple opportunities where they're going for it. And both of those situations, well, 2 of the 3 end up resulting in a negative play. But right before halftime, they decide to kick that field goal as opposed to going for it like they've gone for all season long and like they showed for in that second half. You were aggressive in that second half. It didn't pay off. You decide not to be aggressive at the end of the first half. You walk away with 3 points. Now, I'm the proponent of either you're all in or you're all out. So you either go all in on going for it on fourth, which, hey, that could have been the deciding factor before the half. You're up 14. Why not go for it? You're up 21 going into half. That's drastically different going into halftime. But again, there was opportunities for the Lions to put this one away. That fourth down conversion that wasn't to Josh Reynolds. That was their first mistake, throwing the ball to Josh Reynolds. He obviously doesn't bring it in. Then the second time around, going for it on fourth, where he scrambles outside and throws it to essentially no one. I think that was pretty ill-advised. I think very confidently Kyle Shanahan outcoached Dan Campbell in that second half. Dan Campbell tried getting too cute. I respect him staying strong to his philosophy, but if you were going to do that, at least stay consistent with that at the very end of that first half. I only caught a little bit of this, and I'm reading a little bit of the comments. It seems as if I can only assume, Joel, that you were not the kindest to Mr. Brock Purdy. I see the smirk on your face, so I can understand that the first half Brock Purdy looked pretty pedestrian. But in that second half, there was definitely some instances where he was able to be lucky and be able to get his team in position to score points and put points on the board. The Brandon Ayuk catch, of course, the fumble from Jahmyr Gibbs, where of course they're able to punch the ball in. But end of the day, you got to go out there and make plays. And Brock Purdy didn't just do that with his arm, but more impressively to me, did it with his legs. So many times the pocket's collapsing, Brock's able to escape and pick up the first down with his legs. Rushing for almost 50 rushing yards today. That was the deciding factor of them winning and losing this game. He was sensational. Of course, credit to the supporting cast of the offense, although the offensive line may have not been the best. Of course, CMC is going to go out there and he's going to put on performance every single time he's on the field, hoping he's okay. Wasn't out there for that last drive. It looked like he had a neck situation when he landed on his head on one of those finals plays on that second to last drive. But of course, Brandon Ayuk, what a star in the making he is. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl. I have a feeling where I'm going to go with my selection for the Super Bowl, but I will say a dogfight of a game. a chess match of a game. And unfortunately, Dan Campbell did lose a chess match that he's been playing at such a high level for this entire season.
The Lions should have won this game. They were up 24-7. The fact that they didn't win this game was egregious. It really was. The fact they blew this game, I understand what you're saying, Drew, maybe going for it at the end of the first half. I feel like those decisions were sound.
Yeah.
Once you have the lead, it's okay to play passive. And I feel like too many times Dan Campbell opted for the aggressive decision when right now you just need to maintain a lead. That's all you need to do. He was playing too much like the underdog when he was up. And I guess that's what happens when you have felt like an underdog too often in your career and the entire Lions tenure. You develop these habits. I look at the first half. The Lions offense dominated on the ground. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jamison Williams had a huge run for a touchdown. Jared Goff was dicing up the 49ers defense. This 49ers defense is not that good. Since week 11, they've ranked 22nd in points allowed. This defense is not the same defense of years past. The secondary is vulnerable. Fred Warner, as much respect as I have for him, he has not been the same sure tackler as he's been in years past. He's missed a couple tackles this year. And that defensive line, I mean, Chase Young is not that good. I mean, Chase Young was this huge trade deadline acquisition, but Montez Sweat is objectively a far better player than him. He's a better pass rusher. He's a better run defender. And I feel like in the first half, the Lions took advantage of the Niners' aggressiveness of their defensive line, really fooling them a lot. And that's what led to a lot of open rushing lanes. But then the second half comes. Purdy made enough plays to win. I can totally understand that. And I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Let me make that clear.
Shit.
Jimmy Garoppolo, when they won the Super Bowl, he didn't do anything for them to get to that point. He didn't do anything. Brock Purdy is actually doing things that is helping to win, that is helping 49ers win games in the playoffs. But when you look at the two playoff games that he's played, against the Packers, he was awful. Last drive of the game, he made plays, but objectively, an entire game, he was awful. He was, if you want to say what was he for the entire game, he was average. In this game, second half, he made some plays. Fine, you want to say it's a solid performance against a Spagnuolo-led defense who just made the Ravens offense that has been ranked highly, and Lamar Jackson, the league MVP, not look the best. And by the way, a defense that shut down the Bills offense in the fourth quarter and for most of the second half. By the way, that shut down the Dolphins defense. It's not, I mean, the Dolphins offense. It's not going to be an easy game for the Niners. And John, what you said was, Purdy, he might be more than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he is more, but is that enough to win you a Super Bowl? We don't know yet because the job is not finished. And I'm not going to bet against Mahomes. I think the Chiefs are winning this Super Bowl. I think they're going to two-peat, and their offense is clicking and humming at the right time. If they can at least go down the field on the Ravens elite defense twice, I think they'll be able to put up points on the 49ers 2 weeks from now, and they'll be healthier. They'll have reinforcements. Joe Tooney's probably playing. Willie Gates probably playing. I just think people don't understand how great this Chiefs defense actually is.
It's before we can get there, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But with Brock Purdy, the Niners this year averaging 29 points per game and more than Kansas City. And you said he was awful last week in a game of C. He did enough to win. And today, didn't have a great second half, didn't have a great first half. But we saw him time and time again make throws in the run, plays outside structure, and that's what you need to do to beat Patrick Mahomes. I think he deserves credit and not a backhanded compliment, if you will. Because the way we're talking about this game is that, he was the reason why they found themselves down 3 scores. But he was the one who brought them back into this game. I felt like he was a bit predictable. They were going to Brandon Ayuk, and you knew they were going to Brandon Ayuk, but he was surgical, especially out of structure. He was making big-time throws, some of which were ill-advised across his body, but Brock played a good game when it mattered. I think you're really critical right now, and this is coming from somebody who's been, a slight pessimist.
Well, John, I think that's a tale of two extremes right there, because in the first half, he was one of the reasons they were down 3 scores. You can put most of the blame on the defense, but in the second half, you can't say, the second half, he was the biggest reason why they came back. When a Brandon Ayuk deep ball that should have been intercepted was caught by Ayuk that led to a touchdown.
I also think that was EPI.
Okay. And then Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled and gave them perfect
True.
field
On their own
territory.
24.
Definitely.
So you
On their own
can't tell me
24.
Brock Purdy was the biggest reason they came back when Brandon Ayuk made a miraculous play and the defense forced a turnover that gave them great field position to score.
You're right, but
I'm
he
with
was under
Joel
pressure
here.
the entire game. Was he not under pressure the entire game?
He was
And
under
he was
pressure.
evading
Listen,
pressure. He was evading sacks the entire night.
I'm saying
until the fourth
that's
quarter.
why I said it's a tale of two extremes, because you could tell me that Brock Purdy was one of the reasons. I agree with you. You're not about to tell me he was the main reason. Same thing. I'm not saying he was the main reason they were down in the first half, but he was one of them because the offense couldn't get going.
But again, let me give respect to Purdy. Going into the second half, had a passer rating of under 40, finishes with a higher passer rating than Jared Goff. So I'm with you, Joel. I think, yes, I believe Purdy played a part in this comeback win, most definitely made some timely plays, both with his legs and, of course, with his arm. I look at the defense getting that huge turnover on Jahmyr Gibbs. The defense really taking it and turning it up a notch in that second half, really trying their best to limit the run. Montgomery had himself a great game. I believe Jahmyr Gibbs was having himself an awesome game up until that fumble. That was pretty unfortunate for them. Laporta was able to do whatever he wanted, but the defense was able to make timely plays, timely stops, two fourth down conversions from the Detroit Lions. Have to give them respect, where I was very critical on the Niners defense in that first half. I have to give them respect for what they did in that second half. Now, Joel, I don't disagree with you. If the Niners play the way that they did tonight in the Super Bowl, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes being a 3-time champion. It's not even a conversation. They did not look that good in the first half, most definitely. Even in the second half, there was times where Detroit was pretty comfortably moving the ball. I have to at least say the defense, when they needed to step up in that second half, they did. When Brock Purdy needed to make a play in that second half, he did. There was definitely some fortunate moments for Brock, but that's not going to allow me to completely take this one and use it against him, where when the moment is here, when I need you to make a play, 2 games in a row, Brock Purdy has answered the call. And, of course, the supporting cast was awesome. Deebo Samuel was amazing. CMC, 2 touchdowns, almost had a third. Brandon Ayuk making a circus catch. You had Juszczyk even get involved in the passing game. Jawan having that insane catch. I will also credit Brock Purdy there, too. I think Brock Purdy trusting his guy, trusting himself to make a play like that. Most of the credit goes to Jawan for making a one-handed grab. But I think that if we're talking about any other quarterback, we're giving them praise. It's just Purdy played a sloppy first half, so people are kind of iffy on that one. I understand that, but this was a great team effort by the Niners. Getting away from this one with a W is insane to me. The Lions completely biffed this game. But I'm with Joel. I think Purdy deserves a lot of credit, but he is not the main reason they came back and won.
The Niners have been outplayed twice. They've been outplayed twice. The Packers outplayed them and the Lions outplayed them.
Easy. Don't
do that. In
the
second half, the Niners outplayed the Lions. I will say, though,
and again, did it again last week.
I would say, though,
outplayed the Packers in the second half last week.
I don't know if in the second half. I'll say maybe in the last couple of minutes. But it's a 2 games in a row where I feel like for most of the game, the Niners are being outplayed in. And for the Packers, it was young and inexperienced that cost them. For the Lions, I just think that Detroit luck got to them. That Detroit unluckiness finally got to them this time around.
Don't do that.
I wouldn't
Don't
say
do that.
That's not true. They have never been here before. And you've seen that.
I know. They've like been unlucky in the regular season, but the way Dan Campbell managed the second half was awful. It really was awful. It was awful. I didn't really feel like the passing game ever got going in the second half at all. And I feel like they shot away from the run a little bit too much to me. Yeah. Listen, I think that the 49ers in back-to-back weeks, they have come out a little bit flat. And I don't think that's a formula to win against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are different.
Question, though, Joel. Let me ask you a question. Are you starting to shift narratives on Brock? Because someone has to do their job here. Are you starting to shift narratives on Brock? There was the narrative he can't play from behind. Here we are, 2 playoff games in a row, playing from behind. One from, if I'm not mistaken, was 10 points. The other now 17 points. Still able to come back from behind, make adjustments, and come away with the W. What are we doing here? Now is it the narrative that just Brock Purdy isn't good enough, or is it now situationally? Because one of those is not the case.
Well, for one, I think it depends how it happens. Against the Packers,
Okay.
the last
Okay.
drive was great. I'm not gonna say it wasn't great, but this
Uh-huh.
game, when I'm seeing an intercepted ball that a defensive back doesn't catch, I'm
But
just going to myself, you can't
Joel,
be serious.
he
This
was
guy's
what do you
catching
think?
one
lucky.
Was that
interception, too.
DPI? I thought it was about to be DPI. I think that if it's not a catch, they call DPI.
I think Brock Purdy is good. I think he's good. I think he's solid. But I
Do
think
you
he
believe that?
does.
You were
Yes,
tweeting
I
No,
do.
super
he's saying there's less
spicy.
I think he's solid.
You got
I think
ahead of
he's
yourself
solid.
in that first half.
I thought it was over. I thought it was done. I was
You
getting. I
put the
had a
nail
couple.
in his coffin
I
before
had
he
a
was
couple
dead.
more. I had 6 to 8 drafts in the chamber ready to
I
unload.
believe you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe
totally
you.
As soon
believe
as things happen. But listen, the thing about it is that I think Brock Purdy's solid. I think now he has kind of elevated himself past the Tua tier, I should say, where
Oh, here
Tua
he goes.
has zero playmaking
Had to
juice
know this was
and
coming.
Tua doesn't perform in big moments. Brock Purdy
You're a
has now shown me
bastard.
enough that he could perform in these moments, but I still view Purdy as a little bit limited. Today, in collapsed pockets, when the pocket was condensed, it really is difficult for him to throw out of those pockets. When the pocket is collapsing and they're condensed, those passes tend to be very inaccurate. So that's still a worry for me in how he plays. I think playing from behind, listen, it all depends on game script. And I think the Green Bay game, it was good, no doubt. But against the Lions, I feel like a lot of things went right for the comeback to happen. Like the Ayuk saved him on a deep ball, like Jahmyr Gibbs fumbling
on the
in
24.
the
Their own
49ers
24.
field of play.
And there wasn't just that. You could tell in both of these games how much experience matters, because when you've got a team who's been here 4 or 5 times, they're able to make the adjustments and have the composure. Detroit completely self-destructed in the second half. And it wasn't just the crazy IU catch or Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. It was Josh Reynolds on back-to-back third downs having drops. The first one was a catchable ball. Fine, wasn't perfect. The second one was right through his hands. That was basically a turnover in and of itself, because when you're on the road, that momentum shift is everything. And then Jared Goff's deep shot to Jameson Williams. It went right through his hands, but J-Mo
That's
didn't.
a flag.
Play.
That was a flag.
I don't know. But J-Mo didn't really have a great sight of where the ball was.
Correct.
And that could have been a 7-point right there. I think they punted or they took a field goal. There are so many different points for the Lions where they completely missed a big opportunity to seal the game. And I think the big narrative is going to be, oh, Dan Campbell shouldn't have went for it on 4th down, when that's been who they've been all year long. They're staying true to their identity. There are so many other plays and missed opportunities that were more important than the momentum of losing this game. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't know if the Lions are going to be back here. This felt like, and I said this on Twitter, the Hawks 2021 playoff run. Because with Ben Johnson being here, you don't know. Drew, give me the fucking look. I can't do it. A
Come
great
on,
offensive
the
coordinator.
Lions are
Let me
awesome. Why are
speak.
you doing this
Stop
to
doing
them
this.
right now?
Stop sipping the Kool-Aid. A great offensive coordinator is like water. He affects everything.
Right.
And I look at this Lions offense before Ben Johnson, where they're one of the worst in football with Anthony Lynn, and after, and I feel like Ben Johnson is the type of ceiling raiser that will put this team in this type of game. But the rest of the NFC is getting a lot better. And when the Lions lose Ben Johnson, similar to the Eagles losing Shane Steichen, we're probably not going to see this be as fluid, dynamic, and creative an offense. And that's to be expected. You're losing a fantastic coordinator, and replacing him is much easier said than done. Dan Campbell has done a great job rebuilding this culture. I think this team's got a bright future because they've drafted pretty darn well, but it remains to be seen what they do this offseason at that position and how they're able to move forward. Jared Goff, I thought he played a good game. He was not the reason why they lost. He was pretty good on 3rd down, but like I said, there's 3 or 4 different drops. He had maybe 1 or 2 balls he overthrew, but he played a pretty good game. To look to extend him, I think losing Ben Johnson will affect Jared for sure.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, listen,
right.
with the Lions, Ben Johnson is going to the Commanders. And the Commanders are going to be a playoff team sooner than people think. They're going to be an awesome team. But then the Jared Goff extension question comes about, and paying a quarterback that is not necessarily an elevator is a death sentence for team Super Bowl windows, which is why when we have these conversations with Brock Purdy, he's getting paid $890,000 a year, When you pay him that little money, you can keep Ayuk, you can keep Debo, you can keep Kittle, you can get CMC in a trade, and you can pay him, and it's going to be fine. But the question becomes, how does a quarterback look when you pay him, and now the supporting cast around him is not as great? With the Lions' weapons, they don't have to worry about it because Laporta and Gibbs were rookies and they're going into their second season. But with the offensive line, it does. You have to pay Penei Sewell soon. I don't think he got an extension just yet. They're already paying Taylor Decker. They're playing Frank Ragnow. So we're talking about a Lions team that they're not going to get much better defensively unless they draft and hit on every single draft pick going forward, because they're not going to be able to sign stout defensive free agents.
Last thing I'll say on this, shout out to my brother Jameson Williams. Had himself an amazing ball game in the NFC Championship game. I'll say this.
It's about time.
That deep ball that he had, that he kind of slowed down, realized, oh shit, Jared's throwing me the ball, completely speeds up, even gives him a chance to get to the ball, is interfered with, no flag. Hey, credit to my guy, 2 touchdowns today. From going from a horrible to receiver to being primetime in the NFC Championship game. Just want to give my dog his flowers. Happy for him, unfortunately, that we're not going to be able to continue this amazing run for Detroit. I don't think they're done, John. I think losing Ben Johnson will hurt them tremendously. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone. It's seeming more the yes than no. If they run it back, Detroit's here. But it is seeming as if Ben Johnson is going to take his talents to Washington. But I think there's a lot of talent on Detroit. Losing that genius offensive mind is going to suck. But there's a lot of talent here. And at its core, I think it's going to be good enough to help them continue to compete to win their division.
The Ravens lost to the Chiefs today. The Chiefs beat them 17-10. The Chiefs, what can I say?
The game was garbage.
They're back. Listen, congratulations to all you conspiracy theorists out there. You guys were right, I guess. You know, the NFL wanted a Taylor Swift Super Bowl. They wanted her in the Super Bowl. It was clear that it was rigging this game for the Chiefs. I can't believe the amount of emotion that turned into undisciplinedness from the Ravens in this game. They had a ton of plays in this game that were just flat out dumb to do when you're trying to be in a position to contend. You have Kyle Van Noy putting his helmet, smashing his helmet against Kelsey's. You have Roquan Smith on a crucial 3rd down, I think it was, just roughing Mahomes and hit him helmet to helmet. I just feel like there was just so many dumb penalties the Ravens made. And I don't think this was one of those matchups where the referees were in favor. I feel like they were letting both teams play on both sides. They were letting them get handsy. They were letting them have contact. I really think the Ravens just lost this one off of 2 main plays I can think of, right? In the second half, Zay Flowers touchdown, where L'Jarius Sneed punches the ball out before he reaches the pylon. And can we just acknowledge how great L'Jarius Sneed is? I mean, not only is he the best cover corner in football right now, but he's probably one of the best tacklers at the cornerback position in football right now. That was a touchdown saving play. And then Lamar Jackson throwing an interception into triple coverage. That hurt them tremendously as well. So I feel like the Ravens more so, the defense did their job. They held KC to 0 points in the second half. The Ravens offense needed to get going, and they never could, and those mistakes are the reason why they lost this game. So I feel like they shot themselves in the foot. I don't think Lamar Jackson played a bad game. I think the one interception that he threw was egregious. He had a fumble. I understand that. But the only reason why the Ravens had a touchdown in the first quarter was because of his magic. Lamar Jackson evading pressure and then hitting Zay Flowers. And then hitting Zay Flowers for a touchdown in the second half, and he don't finish the play. Now, we brought up Mookie up here because I know Mookie is not the biggest fan of Lamar Jackson. I saw Mookie
in the StreamYard, and I almost started cracking up. I knew he had to be here.
I sent him the link because Mookie, listen, do you think that this game was any indictment on Lamar Jackson? Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely. Lamar, listen, this is what I've always been saying, man. Lamar Jackson is the biggest playoff fraud in NFL history. There has been so many times where y'all be putting Lamar Jackson in these conversations, right? And the NFL got fooled again because Lamar Jackson shown that he can be a great quarterback in the regular season, right? But what is Lamar Jackson's biggest stride as a quarterback, right? What is his biggest strike as a quarterback? He hasn't been elite in the playoffs when it matters the most, bro. And y'all look at the 2 wins that he had. The 2 wins that he had, you could make an argument that those defense was the reason why they won. When you look at that against the year that they beat the Titans, the Titans had the number 1 ranked offense. That defense held Derrick Henry and the Titans to under their average, bro. They was the number 1 ranked offense. Then when you look at the Houston Texans, right? We're talking about the Texans team that so-called obliterated the Cleveland Browns defense as well, right? People sat there and said the Browns defense is elite. CJ Stroud was absolutely outstanding. That Ravens historical defense held the Texans to 3 points, right? They didn't even score a touchdown. That red hot Texan offense couldn't even score a touchdown. So Lamar Jackson was in the perfect situation where he had a great O-line, where he had a great defense, where he had great weapons, where he had great coaching, right? And he still choked on his food. When can you ever sit there and say that Mahomes was held scoreless in the second half of the game?
Right.
You can't say that.
Joe Burrow got it done.
Absolutely.
The defense played a huge part of that, but yeah.
Absolutely. Bro, that Ravens defense was outstanding. When they adjusted in the second quarter, and especially in the second half as well, the Chiefs couldn't even march the football down the field to score touchdowns, bro. They couldn't. The Ravens defense played outstanding. But like I said, man, Lamar Jackson playing style, right? When you have a quarterback whose main attribute is to run the football, right? I tried to tell y'all that he is not no elite top 10 passer. I went on this show and told y'all that he's not no top 10 passer, right? Come on, bro. We seen it, bro. Y'all watch the games, man.
I was there with you.
Triple coverage interception, bro. I don't know what was he thinking. He overthrew a running back that was running a flat route as well. He was not poised in the pocket. He was missing reads as well. He was holding the ball as well, bro. Lamar Jackson, he played terrible. And this is what happens again, bro. And this, y'all got to stop putting him in these conversations, bro. That's all. And I always been proven right again, man. Like I always done every time.
You're right, Mookie. That defense.
John is pissed.
So I'm a Steeler fan, by the way, and I'm going to find myself defending Lamar here. He did not play well in the second half of today's game. You saw the interception. He was really, it seemed uncomfortable. He was missing a lot of throws by shooting guys a little bit too high. But when I watched this game, to me, I felt like it was a complete coaching mismatch. Baltimore's offense ran 6 designed runs this entire game, and it mainly came down to their coaching staff playing too aggressive the moment Kansas City scored in the first drive. The one touchdown they did score was because Lamar made a ridiculous play out of structure. He then had a second one to Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers fumbles at the 1-yard line. A tremendous play by the Chiefs defense. Kansas City got a ton of pressure. Lamar in the first half was handling it pretty darn well. And I look at the weapons. The weapons are not great today. I look at Odell Beckham in the stage of his career. Mark Andrews coming off a pretty brutal ankle injury. And then Rashad Bateman, who has struggled for his entire Ravens tenure with drops, injuries, and separation. And then I look at the running backs. So Justice Hill, he had 3 carries today for 3 yards. How can you put all the blame on Lamar when he's creating, he's getting out of structure, but there's nobody to throw to, and he's got Steve Spagnuolo's defense all over him if he tries to run? I disagree that his best attributes are running the football. It's creating magic out of structure, but he doesn't have, let's be honest, his weapons are not as good as Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco. Quite frankly, I don't really think they're close when Zay Flowers emotionally today is making the mistakes that he was making.
Stop it.
You're rolling your eyes. They're not.
I hear nothing but
They're not. Isaiah Pacheco,
emotion. Your
Zay
height
Flowers is
just
better
made
than
him
Rashee Rice.
Yeah,
Yes.
Travis Kelce versus
I don't know
Mark
about
Andrews.
that.
He had Isaiah Likely, who's been playing great throughout since Mark Andrews went out, and you also had Mark Andrews, who's a top 3, top 4 tight end that was
But he's
playing
coming
as
off
well.
an injury.
So my point is to say is that why do I put all the blame on Lamar? Okay, when Lamar Jackson, if Lamar Jackson would have won this game tonight, everybody would sit there and give this man credit that he has led the Baltimore Ravens to the Super Bowl, right? We don't give that defense credit enough, right? When they beat the Houston Texans, right? They gave credit to Lamar Jackson. This was a so-called playoff masterclass by Lamar, but y'all don't talk how masterclass that historic defense was when they limit CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans offense to 3 points. So when you sit there and say that he played good, no, he did not. He didn't play good. Outside that one play where I believe Tranquil missed that tackle, I believe it was, and he made that play to Zay Flowers because it was a broken down play. Lamar Jackson was mediocre throughout the whole entire game. He didn't play a good game. He was missing throws in the flat routes. He was overthrowing receivers. When he had an opportunity to run it, he didn't take that opportunity to run. He threw into triple coverage as well. The Ravens defense, and we got to give credit to the Ravens defense. They played great football against that Chiefs offense. The Chiefs offense, who has Mahomes, who people have him as a top 5 quarterback all time right now. So when you hold Mahomes to 0-point score and you have multiple possessions to march the football down the field, when the Ravens, who has a top 3 offense in the NFL, when you sit there and say Lamar Jackson is a top 3 quarterback, a top 4 quarterback, I expect you, because that's the standard that y'all put him on. I expect you to have multiple drives, right? Throwing the football, delivering the football, you name it, to lead his team down the field and to put points on the board. And Lamar Jackson couldn't, bro. He didn't, bro. Mahomes did in the first half, and that's why they was up, 17 points. He put 17 points in the first half, went scoreless in the second half, but Lamar Jackson did it, and it's on him. That man is a fraud, and hold him accountable.
Going scoreless in the second half is inexcusable. I will say, you know me, I like to pick a side. I'm kind of torn. I'm upset at Lamar Jackson because he couldn't get the job done and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what the emotional part of me says. I will say that interception was egregious, inexcusable, triple coverage. I understand looking at it from the other angle that if he floats it in there a little bit more, maybe likely has a chance to at least make a play on the ball. Severely underthrown, interception, terrible ball. But that drive before, a solid pass to Zay Flowers where he kind of just has to throw it on him. Zay Flowers has to do the rest. I'm okay with Zay Flowers doing what he did. It's an intense game. You just made one of a game-changing plays for your team. There's hype. There's energy. Zay Flowers is going to react. He's doing him. He's a rookie. He's excited. Should he have thrown the ball at Snead? Probably not. But it is an insane play that could change the tides for the Baltimore Ravens. The unfortunate part of it is that he fumbles at the 1-yard line. You gave your respect to L'Jarius. Absolutely deserves it because he kind of got lost on that play with Zay Flowers and then makes up for it later in the drive where he's able to go out there and get the fumble, and that obviously leads to Kansas City taking over. But the defense was able to force them to punt again. They allowed 0 points in the second half. And then that following drive, an interception by Lamar Jackson. It's tough not to put some blame on Lamar Jackson, but I do agree. I think that he had some moments in this game where he was special. The only touchdown that they did have was a special play by Lamar Jackson. I think personally I would have liked to see him run a little bit more, but it was going to be difficult when Spag was sending constant pressure at Lamar. That was what we saw the Texans have success with early on in the game, but we never really saw them lean into the run game at all in this game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a testament to what happened over there in Kansas City with Spags. I believe Lamar had to be better in this one, but I don't look at him as the main reason that they lost. I think Lamar Jackson had moments where he could have capitalized a little bit more, but at the same time, there's more so a credit that needs to be given to that opposite side where the Kansas City Chiefs are just a special unit. They executed a near flawless game plan. Lamar had moments that he could have made plays, but at the same time, he left it all out there. He had one opportunity where he needed to put it back onto the defense. They were able to kick They were able to kick for a field goal and then put it on the defense to get one last stop. I can't blame the Ravens defense for not getting one more stop. After you go and have an entire half of leaving them scoreless to try and put that back on the Ravens defense, if you're a Lamar stan, is pretty brutal. So I look at the Ravens here, and I just think you went in and executed very poorly. Offensively, defensively, you left everything out there. You have to give credit to them, and I'm with you there, Mook. I think this defense definitely was not getting the same praise that Lamar Jackson was getting, but understandable because he is the face of the franchise. He is the quarterback, and this entire season, he was special.
Yeah, but I kind of disagree with some of the points that you was making. And the reason why is because, and this is part of the reason why people like me consistently cook Lamar Jackson, because the fanboys and people that like don't like when he wins, he gets all the credit, right? But when he loses, it's like, okay, yeah, he part of it, but you got to blame somebody else. I mean, he played like, we don't give these benefit of the doubt to guys, quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, many other quarterbacks when they lose games, not because of them, right? Because their defense gave up a big chunk play or a bad missed call, or you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. They get majority of the blame by the media, by the fan base. But when it's this guy Lamar Jackson, it's like the standard has been lower for him, man. And I don't think that he's left it all out there tonight, bro. He really did not. He was not sharp tonight. He was very, very nervous in the pocket. His decision making was not sharp. He was missing wide open reads. I think that if you had a quarterback like a Burrow, any quarterback that you could name, from a CJ Stroud, from a Jordan Love, from a Justin Herbert, I think those guys would have won that game out there tonight, bro. You got to understand this. That defense, bro, this is the best defense that Mahomes have win against in his whole
That's what I'm
career
asking. So that's what I'm going to say to reboot that. Last year, Joe Burrow played against an inferior Chiefs defense to this one. He threw for 270, an interception, 2 touchdowns. The year before that, if I'm not mistaken, he had 2 touchdowns and an interception, threw for 250 yards, was able to walk away with the win. I think of the bunch, that was the worst Chiefs defense. But last year's defense wasn't this game-ending, game-changing defense.
Not this year's.
And Joe Burrow came up a little bit short in that one. Now, similarly here, I look at Lamar Jackson. I agree with you. There were moments where Lamar Jackson could have been better. We did see a couple drops from his guys. We saw Nelson Aguilar drop one on 3rd down pretty bad. I still think Lamar Jackson could have been in a little bit more of a takeover mode, which, hey, you're a star player. Sometimes it's a little irrational of me to ask you to make star plays, but in this game, you kind of had to do that. Where pressure's in your face, you got to escape and know when to take off, know when to hit the guy in the flat. I think this was a tough one, though, because of the pressure that they were sending on Lamar Jackson. Sometimes it's not about blaming the player, more so as it is about giving credit to the other side. I think given the game plan from the Chiefs and Spagnuolo, I think you have to give him a ton of credit, because we've seen very few teams able to limit Lamar Jackson the way that they were today. And Lamar Jackson, even though he wasn't the best, still was decent enough to keep them in this game.
I'm lost, because I think this Chiefs defense, I mean, who did they add that wasn't there last year? Everybody's there.
It's just development.
Yeah, just, I mean, really, the development
taking a step,
but they were, the defense was awesome. In the playoffs, they were elite. And it showed against the Eagles when they completely stopped the Eagles' rushing attack, and Joe Burrow had nothing but backup offensive linemen out there. So I just want to say that about Burrow.
The pass game got gashed.
Now it got gashed because they sold out for the run as much as they did. They were just stopping the run, and that's why they got gashed in the passing game. But I have a question for you, Mookie. So you're telling me, because based on what you said, what I got from it is that you're holding Lamar to a certain standard because other people hold other quarterbacks to that standard?
Absolutely. People hold Herbert, Burrow, Allen to these godly standards where when they don't play good and they don't win games, they get solely of the blame, majority of the blame. That's what the media does.
It depends on the media outlet, for sure.
What do you think was who was at fault for the Chargers blowing the playoff lead to the Jaguars last year?
I think well, mostly people, if you hear what the media people say,
I just want to know what you got to say. That's it.
I think Justin Herbert gets some of the blame. I think the defense gets some of the blame. That was not a good defense as well, right? I think play calling gets some of the blame. I think the Chargers didn't have no great running game. Mm-hmm. So Joe Lombardi was not a good head coach.
I think that we're being too harsh on Lamar, because if Zay Flowers doesn't fumble, we're talking about a 17-14 game where the Ravens defense gets a 3 and out, and the Ravens get to
Lamar
drive down
doesn't go into triple coverage, we're talking about him potentially going down the field.
For sure, but that happened before the Zay Flowers fumble, though.
Well, so we could also sit there and say if Lamar Jackson would have put up more impressive drives before it get into that situation, they would have actually scored as well.
Yeah, you look at the best plays that were made by the Ravens offense tonight. Lamar Jackson, he made all the exceptional plays in the game.
That's a fact, though.
He's the only reason why their offense had life. Like, my counter argument to you is that the only reason the Ravens offense were able to do anything at all is because they have an exceptional quarterback who was able to create from nothing.
So what was him able to create something in the second half of the game when the defense
threw a touchdown to Zay Flowers and Zay Flowers fumbled?
I said the second half of the game. That
was
one
a lot
play.
of yak, though. It wasn't that he threw it to him and then all he had to do was just turn around and score.
He has to make the read.
Joel, you said Lamar is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Without a doubt.
So when you hold him to a top 5 standard, I expect you to play at a top 5 level in the second half. So where was him keeping plays alive, using his improvising ability, stretching the defense down the field, right? Using his playmaking ability, which I said there and said Lamar Jackson has. What was he doing that in the second half when the defense was getting stops, when forcing Mahomes to multiple 3-and-outs, stopping the plays of that? Where was Lamar Jackson in the second half? I'll tell you where he was, Drew. I'm gonna tell you something. He can't play
bias, though,
because he can't play from behind. He can't play from behind.
But Mookie,
the Chiefs had 0 points. Hold on, Drew. The Chiefs had 0 points in the second half. Yes. So the same thing you're telling me about Lamar wasn't able to do nothing. Mahomes wasn't able to do nothing in the second half either.
Did nothing.
Yeah, but the thing is about Mahomes is that Mahomes didn't turn over the football. No, he didn't turn over the football. He didn't put the ball into the defense's hands where he could put a negative impact onto the defense as well, bro. Mahomes played perfect football. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, right? Had a turnover, threw the ball into triple coverage, and that really put a hindrance on your defense as well, because now they got to go back out in the field and save you. This is the thing about Lamar. He's never been good playing behind, bro. In the postseason, bro, when he was able to win games, bro, they almost had the lead almost every game. He's never able to play behind, mostly in the regular season and the postseason, and still be able to lead the team by throwing the football down the pocket and winning games. He cannot do that.
When Lamar fumbled in the first half, the Chiefs didn't score. So that turnover led to no points from the Chiefs. When he turned it over in the second half, the drive after, he threw it to Zay Flowers and Zay fumbled.
Yep, that's it.
So, I mean, so Lamar, his first turnover led to no points, and his second turnover, he bounced back from it, and then Zay Flowers fumbled.
But all you doing, Joel, is you basically sitting there saying Lamar Jackson's in a situation where he can consistently have bad plays after bad plays and turnovers after turnovers, but have a great defense that can actually stop and get stops to put the ball back in his hands. So if you have a great defense, right, where when you can go multiple 3-and-outs and you can turn over the football and fumble and not play to that elite level, you got a defense that can get stopped and put the ball in your hands. I ask you the question, what did he do from that when the defense was getting stops, bro? Did he save the defense? Did he bail out the defense? What did he do? And he didn't do.
So you think the biggest reason the Ravens lost was Lamar Jackson?
I think if Lamar Jackson would play better, I think they would have won this game tonight. Absolutely.
So if Josh Allen played better, they would have beat the Chiefs last week.
I think Josh Allen played good up to that last drive. If Josh Allen would have hit.
So if he played better. If he played better and he made that throw
in that last drive, if Josh Allen would go through, Josh Allen played good, but in that last drive, if you would have been better, they would have won the game. Absolutely.
Okay. Josh Allen was. I think that he was definitely better than Lamar Jackson was today. Versus
I think he was too. But
I think the issue with these debates, what frustrates me is that we give too much of the blame to a quarterback, and as you point out, Mookie, we tend to oversimplify things to the quarterback. What frustrated me is that the Ravens they did not establish any run game. Lamar is their run game. And the pass protection was dog shit. He got sacked 4 times, and he was consistently under pressure, forced out of the pocket.
It was not that good. It was not that good. Hold on.
So you telling me?
Let me finish, brother. Let me finish. Allowed that Steve Spagnuolo's defense, the exotic blitzes, the way they game plan for Lamar. Without Willie Gay, Drew Tranquill played a fantastic game. I think a lot of it is the credit that goes to Steve Spagnuolo, who I want to talk about. I felt like he was the unsung hero of today. But we tend to only want to hate Lamar without acknowledging Steve Spagnuolo might be the second best defensive mind right now in the NFL. And that Chiefs defense has done that to every single offense this year, including Miami. They could do it next week to San Francisco. But I think we oversimplify for Lamar or Josh Allen last week when there's a lot of other factors. The amount of penalties the Ravens had. Emotionally, they did not control themselves. That was not Lamar. The poor pass protection wasn't Lamar. Not establishing the run game was not Lamar. The defense played fantastic, but they didn't help make up for that with any turnovers themselves. And that's something they've done better than anybody this year. There's a lot of other factors to me. And I look at what the Ravens have had to overcome. I felt Lamar, ultimately, as we see in many other quarterbacks, had a lot on his plate. And he wasn't perfect. But I think the truth is not too many quarterbacks would be, given the coaching and support he had today specifically. And you look at the other time this happened, it was versus the Steelers this year, my team. Lamar played a pretty damn good game, and the Ravens lost 17-10. Why? The receivers dropped 3 touchdowns in that game. So
what about the interception on that go route in the end zone? What about that one?
To Odell,
I think that drive actually Lamar made a lot of plays. I think Lamar made a lot of plays. And I also think that there was a couple missed calls there. The play right before the interception, you could argue that was pass interference that Odell got interfered with. You could argue that. And then, of course, the interception follows.
Yeah, but
he made plays to put them in position to score in that last quarter. They just fell short. I agree with Joel's point, though. If you're going to say this about Lamar, you have to say this about Mahomes. Now, I agree that, yes, let's not glorify turnovers because the defense was able to bail you out. The defense, though, John, you're saying they weren't able to get a turnover. I mean, what did they get as a grade this game? An A-? An A, honestly?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, hey, Joel. Can I ask you something, Joel? You love turnover worthy plays, right? That's your favorite stat, huh?
I like the stat.
Great stat.
Yeah. Do you know Lamar Jackson would have had another interception? He would have had 2 interceptions if the old boy would have caught that interception as well. So that'd been 2 turnovers that he would have had in the second half. So my point is to sit there and say is this.
I don't think Lamar played an excellent game. I don't think.
Okay, my point is to sit there and say is that Josh Allen is being held to a higher standard than Lamar Jackson. And most people has Lamar Jackson better than Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen against that Steve Spagnuolo defense was able to play better than what Lamar Jackson played, bro. That's a fact, right? So the questions that I have about Lamar Jackson, right? We can sit there and nitpick. We can say, oh, well, the play calling was not that too great. We can say the offensive line was not that sharp, and we can sit there and say the defense let their foot off the gas just a little much. We can sit there and blame some of the stuff and like nitpick and stuff like that. But man, the game was in Lamar Jackson's hands. Take us home. The defense have got multiple stops, and he didn't take them home. And he's done that consistently, bro. Lamar Jackson has not erased the narrative that he's a great playoff performer, bro. It's not even about winning. If he would have came out there and played well, right, everybody would have gave him the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that he played terrible and was one of the sole reasons he was terrible. He was terrible.
He was not terrible.
No,
he was terrible tonight, bro. He was terrible.
Okay,
he didn't play good.
We walked through Lamar Jackson's playoff games. The first one when they lost in 2018 to the Chargers as a rookie. That was
a bad game. Mm-hmm.
2019 versus the Titans, he had 500 total yards in that one.
Yeah.
They give passer rating and all that stuff. It's not going to be kind to him.
We just stat watching. Or we just going
500. I mean, 500 total yards for anybody in the game is
I remember watching that game and being felt like he didn't play that well.
Yeah, most of the numbers, the 500 yards. That's why you got when you watch the game, like most of those numbers came when the Ravens was down like multiple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. When the first three in the first 3 quarters, bro, that team couldn't even march down the field and score a touchdown. So Lamar didn't play great in the Titans. He didn't play great against the Titans, bro.
You're right.
The final score of the Titans and the Ravens was 28-12. So the game was always like a 2-possession game, though.
The reason they were down was because D. Henry had 200 yards, and that team was not built to play from behind. This team is more prepared, both their coaching and the receivers. They had no chance. If the Titans were up by 1 lead, that game was over.
Listen, whatever. Didn't play good in that one. Then you have the game against the Titans, I think in 2020, I believe. I think he played fine. He played good, and then against the Bills,
he didn't play. I mean, he played okay. I mean, he was average.
I'm looking at this game. I'm looking at it back versus the Titans in the second half when they were down 21-6 on the first play. He goes and he fumbles. He gets sacked and fumbled. Then the drive after that, he throws an interception. So it was it wasn't great. And they were down 28-6 after that.
He was bad. He was bad that game. The only 2 wins that he has is when that defense carried him, basically, bro.
And the Texans. Whoa. He played well versus the Titans the second go around. That's when he rushed for over 100.
He was okay. He was okay.
I'm gonna give him a good performance on that one. I think
Well,
versus
one
the
thing-
Bills, he
Nah,
wasn't
it was
good.
not a good.
Versus
but
the Titans first go round, he wasn't
How many
good.
touchdowns he had that game?
I think he had one, if I'm not mistaken.
How many interceptions he had that game?
I don't think he turned the ball over.
He did turn the ball over. He threw that deep route and it ended up to the interception as well. So, like, I mean, listen, like I said, y'all want to sit there and say, oh, what did Mahomes do in the second half? He didn't do nothing. So, give Lamar a pass. Mahomes didn't do nothing in the second half, right? Who was the top 5 quarterback all time?
Nope.
I expect Lamar Jackson to come.
A pass. We're just saying he didn't play terrible.
He was terrible. He was terrible.
Crazy plays, man.
He was terrible.
He wasn't terrible.
Hold on.
Receivers
So what kind of game? What grade you give Lamar Jackson in that game?
He was solid. He was fine. He was like a C. He was fine.
He was solid against the
was
Chiefs.
fine. Yes.
Oh my gosh,
He was
man.
fine.
And this is what I'm talking about. The standard of what being I feel like the standard is lower. Y'all lowered the standard for Lamar Jackson. Y'all call this man a top 2 to top 3 quarterback. Y'all don't give Josh Allen. You don't give Justin Herbert. You don't give Joe Burrow. You don't give these quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt. When they play good and they team lose, they get sole of the blame. When Lamar Jackson lose and play bad, y'all want to blame the receivers.
You don't
y'all
think Lamar Jackson is getting blamed for this game? He's going to get blamed for this game. What are we talking about here?
But the media spins it. They spins it where they want to sit there and deflect on Zay Flowers. I bet all the Ravens fanboys sitting there going to blame Zay Flowers on that fumble that he had and sit there and say that's the reason why they lost the game. Talk about that interception that he threw with double coverage.
Your opinion is made up of what other people think and how other people are talking about.
My opinion is judged on how people hold the standard to what you call a top 2 to top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So when you hold to a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, that don't mean nothing. Listen, MVPs are based on team success, man. So Lamar Jackson won 2 MVPs. Does that mean I'm supposed to put him over Drew Brees all time? Does that mean I'm supposed to put him over these other quarterbacks all time? They ain't got MVPs. MVP is on team success.
Is he not a top? Is he not a top 6, 7 quarterback in the league right now?
That's at the absolute worst, Mook.
Yeah, he's a top 6 quarterback. But my point is to sit there and say, when you hold him to this elite standard, we expect the elite quarterback to get it done in the second half, and he went scoreless. Joel, he went scoreless. What are we doing here? If this was the best opportunity for him to win a Super Bowl,
why did he go scoreless? Why did he go scoreless?
We gotta be honest.
Why did he go scoreless? Okay,
why did he go score? Why did the Ravens not score any points in the second half?
Because it's part of Lamar Jackson. It's part of Lamar Jackson.
Name me the reason why they didn't go scoreless. You can point to one play and just point at that one and be like, "This is why they didn't score."
Well, I think the Chiefs' game plan was really, really good. That in that second half of the game as well.
Also a dog.
And I also give a credit to the Chiefs. They really, really shut down that running game for the Ravens as well. I don't even think the Ravens really, really used it as much. And they was really, really playing some shell coverage, single high safety. They were really, really doing a great job. And Zay Flowers is getting open as well, so he was playing really, really great. But I just think the Chiefs' defense was good. But also, when you looking at the quarterback and Lamar Jackson, I do think that there was some missed opportunities that he had in the second half of the game, and the missed throws that he had on the flat when he was overthrowing receivers, the missed throws that he had throwing into triple coverage, the missed throws that he had over to Odell Beckham as well when he overthrew Odell Beckham and Bateman on that go route as well. This man Lamar Jackson didn't play that good. He was terrible. He was terrible to his standard.
You're going crazy with the terrible. You're going crazy.
This is the thing that's bothering me.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna give him like a 6.57. Is that all right? 6.57.
No,
I feel like that's as fair as it gets.
He was a 2.
This is why I told you. I told y'all when I first came on y'all show. I told y'all I don't trust Lamar. Y'all said the Ravens gonna go to the Super Bowl. They have the great team to do that.
I didn't.
But I said this, Joel. I said if you had any other quarterback that is better than Lamar Jackson, this team will go to Super Bowls consistently, bro. Lamar Jackson is not an elite passer. He's a great runner, great improviser, but he's not an elite passer, bro.
Lamar Jackson is an elite passer. Let's just get that out the way.
Yes. If you're not a top 6, 7 passer, you're not elite. Sorry.
That's fair. Mook, I gotta ask you a question though. For all the elite quarterbacks, Lamar is the only one that had one weapon today. Would you agree with that? Outside Zay Flowers, there was no one else who was getting open. When Lamar broke the pocket, nobody was working back on the quarterback.
Mark Andrew wasn't getting open underneath.
Odell had a couple moments where he was open.
Odell was open too. Lamar wasn't finding him. Every time when
wasn't.
Lamar Jackson hold the ball and his first read is not there, all he would do is revert to running. And I'm like,
Lamar's a one-read quarterback now.
He basically is, especially when he gets his when Lamar drop back, right? And his first read is not there, and the pocket is collapsing. What Lamar Jackson do is he put his head down, instead of scanning the field, he would find an open Odell under the flats as well. He didn't really play to his standard, bro. He didn't, bro.
So that touchdown to Zay Flowers was a one-read thing.
This is different.
Okay, that touchdown with Zay Flowers was off a busted coverage.
No,
Joel.
Lamar looked
it wasn't a busted coverage.
It was a busted coverage.
No, it wasn't. What happened is that Zay Flowers.
That was an elite play.
Zay Flowers was matched up with Nick Bolton, and Lamar Jackson evaded a sack and went like this because Zay Flowers was matched up on Nick Bolton, and Lamar threw him a dot. It wasn't a busted coverage. It was a mismatch.
It was a busted cut. When Tranquil missed that tackle as well, right? And Zay Flowers got open out on a go route, right? Lamar Jackson, fine. That was a great pass. Salute. But outside of that, bro, what other plays that you could sit there and say that was memorable, right? Where that was actually
that probably was memorable to me.
How about the pass where he goes and tips it and catches it himself?
That's what I'm talking about. But the thing to me is that he
also had that play on fourth down where he almost cribbed it. I'm sorry, John.
No wide receiver is working back to him, and I'm looking at the replays. I can't see all 22 from these TV angles.
I'm gonna see that.
But of the
there wasn't open. There wasn't open down the field. There wasn't.
Of the ones we got, there was no one working back to the ball. And yes, he has Mark Andrews, an All-Pro tight end. That ankle injury was fucking disgusting. This is his first game back. He's not going to.
Why he didn't go through Odell? Odell was open every single time when the curl on the hit was.
How do you know that?
Odell was open. What are you talking about, Joel?
He had moments of being open.
Odell was getting blanketed for most of the game. Now, Drew mentioned something earlier, and I want to get to this because I feel like this has been too Lamar-centric. When there's a reason why I picked the Chiefs to win this game. I picked them to win because their defense is elite. And what they do well is something that the Ravens struggle with. The Ravens aren't great against the blitz. They're an average offense. Steve Spagnuolo blitzes more than any defensive coordinator in the league. Then you talk about the matchups in the secondary. When you have L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, having those two guys eliminates two pass catching options on the other side of the offense. It just neutralizes it. I wasn't sure why Sneed wasn't shadowing Zay Flowers. They were probably playing a lot of zone concepts and he wasn't shadowing him, but they completely shut down the run. There was only 6 early down rush plays the Ravens had this game. They had a 17% success rate. And what you was talking about, they was loading the box. It was playing cover one behind it because they trust their secondary. The Chiefs' game plan on defense screamed to us, at least screamed to me, that we don't trust these Ravens receivers to beat us. We can clamp them. And that's what they did. That's how they stopped the run. On early down runs, they had a 17% success rate. On early down passes, it was 45% success rate. So leaning into the pass for them was the most successful outcome for them. And that's why they passed the ball more. Maybe you would have liked them to stick with the run just a little bit more, but I feel like they just weren't rushing the ball effectively. I would have liked maybe some Lamar Jackson quarterback designs, but even when Todd Monken was trying to get Casey with some trickery, there were always Chiefs defenders there to stop it. They didn't get fooled by any of the eye candy going on the offensive side of the football. Steve Spagnuolo is cementing himself as one of the best defensive coordinators. I mean, what he did against the 07 Patriots with the Giants, what he's doing right now with the Chiefs in this run right now. Spags is one of the best. It's as simple as that. He's one of the best. And this Chiefs defense has not been talked about or praised like it should have been all season because all everybody was focused on was the Chiefs offense. Oh my God, they're ranked 11th now instead of number 1. The sky is falling. They're going to be so bad. But the Chiefs are proving to you that with this elite defense, with leaning on Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Kelsey, they can win multiple playoff games. And I'm not going to knock the offense too much for the Ravens because I just think the personnel for the Chiefs just match up so well against them. They do. This secondary can lock up any receiving core in the NFL, and they just have an excellent front seven. Willie Gay got injured this game, and I didn't notice. because they had Nick Bolton, Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil, who all stepped up. They have amazing depth at the linebacker position. I just thought this was an excellent game plan by Steve Spagnuolo, and there's a reason why. Since he's been on the Chiefs, they've been to 3 Super Bowls.
Joel, listen to this stat. This is wild. So Bob Sutton was the Chiefs defensive coordinator in 2018. That defense was the reason the Chiefs did not go to a Super Bowl that year when they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. They hired Steve Spagnuolo that all season. Their defense went from 16th to 7th. They won a Super Bowl. The next year, they're 10th. They lost the Super Bowl. The next year, they're 8th. And that was when they lost in the AFC Championship game. Last year, they're 16th. And this year, they're 2nd. He is, to me, the best defensive mind in football not named Bill Belichick. And when I look at that Chiefs defense, the proof is in the pudding. He developed Travarius Ward, an undrafted cornerback. In San Francisco, he's gotten even better. He developed L'Jarius Sneed, a 4th-round pick. Trent McDuffie is obviously fantastic. But as you point out, Willie Gay doesn't play. And Drew Tranquil, who struggled at times for the Chargers, comes in. He was fantastic today. And you look at their defensive line as well. It's a very good group, but to me, a huge part of Lamar's struggles were the exotic packages, how well they're able to contain him, not allowing him to make any huge runs. Outside of his one big play, and I think it was 3rd down. I think Lamar lost some of that top end speed, but I look at what the Chiefs have done at every single level. Steve Spagnuolo is a lunatic when it comes to game planning. He's done this to just about every single offense this year, and I think the duo of Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo has a case of being one of the 3 best of all time. You've got one of the best offensive minds, one of the best defensive minds, and now they're going to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years. And I look at the list. It's like, what coaching duos are better? You've got Parcells and Belichick in the 80s. They won 2 Super Bowls. You've got Walsh and his defensive coordinator, whose name I'm blanking on. He would win 2 Super Bowls after Walsh stepped down in 89. It was George Seifert. They won 3 Super Bowls together. After those 2, I think Reid and Spagnuolo could be a top 3 coaching duo. And that is the difference in these types of settings. It's clear on both sides of the ball. You've got Patrick Mahomes. He played a lights-out game. And I felt Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce were fantastic. Kelce broke the record for most receptions in the postseason. They were great. But even in a game where Isaiah Pacheco wasn't super efficient, they were missing Joe Thuney, which is a huge loss. The defense and the coaching specifically, that's why they're winning the Super Bowl this year. And a 3rd Super Bowl with this coaching duo, it's something that shouldn't be taken for granted.
Yeah, man. Chiefs is really, really good. I told y'all when y'all told me that y'all getting rid of the Chiefs and y'all didn't believe in the Chiefs to make a deep postseason runs, I was one of the few people that when I came on here and I said I believe in the Chiefs because they got Mahomes, bro. But now that defense and how well they're playing has really, really been outstanding, especially for Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones, man, we got to have a conversation. This man is one of the best defensive players in the NFL, bro. He's always been. He's been there for a long time, and he was outstanding, especially getting pressure up the middle, making Lamar feel uncomfortable where he has to drop back and then try to see what he can do. So he was really, really good as well. So outstanding work for the Chiefs defense. They really, really limit that, that guy. But yeah, like I said, man, just give him credit. And I got the Chiefs winning it all, man. And
I got the Chiefs winning it all too.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. Last thing I'm gonna say on the matter, 16 rush attempts today, 42 against the Texans. 43 versus the Texans, or 42, excuse me, whatever it is. I apologize. 16 today versus the Chiefs. Can't be. It can't be. Your identity. I'm talking about the rush attempts for the Ravens versus the Texans versus the Chiefs. How they just decided to not lean into the run game a little bit more, especially like Joel mentioned, coming in, you knew the L'Jarius Sneed and McDuffie is a mismatch. That is, we've known, the best cornerback duo that is remaining of the 4 teams before today. You can't tell me you didn't want to lean into the run more. It had to be a little bit more point of emphasis.
Yeah, but it'd been predictable if they would have linked. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with y'all. Like, they should have ran the football more. But part of the reason why I don't think that Todd Monk could really implement more RPOs or heavy quarterback runs because they got a $230 million quarterback for their investment, bro. So if you keep on running him through the ground like that, major injury can come up like that, right? And Lamar Jackson this year hasn't been running the football as much. He's been primarily in the drop back. You know what I'm saying? When he don't have a first read or a second read, he reverts to running, but he hasn't been this consistent runner this year. So,
So Drew, right now River is in the chat, and he just put a chat
Fred,
in.
where are you, bro?
Here after Purdy once again made Joel look foolish.
Let me
Santos
defend River Brown for the first time when it comes to doing his job. This was random. We're supposed to record tomorrow. The boys are going to be locked in for tomorrow night. So let me defend Riv here. However, shout out to Brock Purdy.
Am I mistaken, or did Riv cross out the Niners and Brock Purdy out of his list of agendas?
Nah, he's still good.
Did he not say that Brock Purdy was a mid quarterback and the averages of like the 15s?
He probably said that, but I don't think that was an
when he said
indictment on
that.
Brock
When he
Purdy.
said that.
No, he just doesn't think that Brock Purdy is better than like
Jared
like a
Goff.
Dak. Jared. Did he say Jared Goff?
Yeah,
Oof,
we had that debate. Yeah,
maybe.
he
I
said
would
as a
honestly-
Purdy
He took
guy,
a lot of
but I-
quarterbacks. He took a lot of quarterbacks over Purdy. So
But
I'm
I
just
know for a
saying
fact he's still a
that
Purdy guy.
we not about to act like this man's been on the Purdy agenda. He fell
Nah,
off.
he's been on the Purdy agenda. Nah,
He
I
fell
wouldn't
off.
say he fell
He
off.
fell off.
Personally,
He fell off.
I
He fell
personally
off
wouldn't say
he
that.
fell off the MVP conversation.
Well,
And
because
then he
wasn't
fell
an
off on
MVP.
taking Purdy over certain quarterback conversations.
Like, but I need to know who he took him over.
There was a
I'd
point
have
in
to go
time
back
he
and
said
watch.
there was a point in time that he said Brock Purdy's better than Dak Prescott.
See, that's what I almost said that he said Dak was better, but I feel like I remember him saying he'll take him over Dak. He'll take him over Jared Goff. I feel like he never said anything other than that.
Listen, I think
you know me, I'm the first to call out, but I will say River has been consistent with he doesn't want to see the Niners, but he is in support of Brock Purdy.
Listen, I think that this couldn't have gone better for me. The Chiefs making the Super Bowl, Steve Spagnuolo exposing Brock Purdy, Mahomes getting his third ring. I mean, it's all lining up how it's exactly supposed to be. That's how it's lining up. It's lining up for me to win.
I fear you're right. Now let me ask you a
Who's
question.
your early Super Bowl pick?
If we all pick the Kansas City Chiefs, are you going to say, hey, we doubted? Or is it just going to be like, it's too late. I've been here.
You guys did doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, in the regular season, Mookie just said it. He just exposed you. You had a segment where
you're not hiding.
yes,
Fuck
you
Kansas
all, we had a segment where you all said that the Chiefs are frauds and that
I'm going to be honest.
Riv said they'd lose to the
every single year.
Browns.
I'm going to call them frauds every
That's
single
fine.
year.
That's fine, and you'll be wrong every single year. But
I will be. I will be.
Riv said that the Chiefs could lose to the Browns. You was talking about, can the Dolphins beat the Chiefs? Everybody was like, yeah, foregone conclusion. Yeah,
hey, I got him.
Yeah,
I got him.
We'll take them. So I don't want to hear it, man. I know you guys probably seen how the Chiefs have been playing, and you're like, I finally got to come to the right side. But just know, we've been here. We've been here on this side. We ain't never been worried about that offense. I talked to John in the regular season.
We saw your bracket. You're not
sure. Sure. The bracket was me, the Ravens and Chiefs AFC Championship game, and I had the Ravens winning. But when we made our pick, that was the beginning of the playoffs.
We saw the bracket, John.
The beginning of the playoffs. I mean, I gotta show some respect to the Ravens. What the Chiefs showed me the last two games that they've played, that's why I picked the Chiefs to win against the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. I seen how they played.
He should have just came up on here. He said, I'm undoubtedly picking the Niners. I'll tell you what, the hate in me wants to pick the Niners, but I feel like I would rather pick the Chiefs, them lose, and me be happy regardless, I
mean, listen, Riv, he picked the Dolphins 0-1. He picked the Bills 0-2. He picked the Ravens 0-3. He's going to go 0-4. He's going to go 0-4. It's as simple as that.
It's
so
a
let's
shame
not
he had himself a great regular season. He fell off the wagon, unfortunately.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Joel Moran Show. I want to thank Andrew Velez and John Twitterelli for joining me and Mookie for being up here and talking about Lamar Jackson and how terrible he was tonight.
I love
biggest
Mookie.
reason
he
comes
up on here and it's hilarious every time.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to drop a like, and we'll see you guys next time.